Mics are all hot.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the Morgan County Board of Zoning Appeals September 26th meeting to order. We have a quorum. I would like now to stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. I would like an approval of the minutes. Has everybody read them?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, move. I have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The agenda. Any changes in the agenda? We have no changes. Move to approve the agenda.
Move we approve the agenda,
Thank you. Do I have a second?
26th meeting.
Oh, we have a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Raise your right hand.
Aye.
Thank you. Approved. This is a quasi-judicial meeting, and I have to have everybody that is going to speak, thinks they're going to speak, be sworn in. You don't have to speak, but don't lose your opportunity. You can always say, I pass. At this time, Mr. Peden will swear in everybody who would like to speak.
All of you who expect to speak to the board are basically testifying in quasi-judicial proceedings. Most of the black robes that did in quasi-judicial proceedings, you all have to be sworn in if you want to talk to the board. Everybody wants to come up and stand today. You to be fair, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and nothing but God.
Thank you, everybody. Under old business, this request has been withdrawing. That was SE-22-05, withdrawn request. So now we're going to go to new business. Under A, public hearing U-2204, William Burroughs is requesting a use variance to be allowed to establish a machine shop in an ag district. The property is located at 6462 North Brook Drive in Adams Township.
Thank you, Board. Good evening. My name is Dale Coffey. I'm an attorney here in Martinsville. I'm here tonight on behalf of William Burroughs. My client is also here with me this evening to answer any questions you may have that I may not be able to. Mr. Rumbaugh stated we are asking for a use variance this evening to be able to operate for property that's currently zoned agricultural. Mr. Burroughs' property is in Adams Township, so it's off of Brook Drive, which is a little road, a private road off of State Road 142. And there on the property is a fairly large pole barn, a little over a 40 by 20 pole barn. It's basically constructed as a commercial type building, but it's never been used for that. Mr. Burroughs has been in basically the small machining type work business for a number of years and would like the opportunity to be able to stop working where he places business now and operate a CNC lathe machine in the pole barn structure on the side of his property there at his home. What he would be manufacturing, just small parts. He actually brought with us tonight just some little samples of the types of parts that he makes at his job, which would be the same type of machine he would be proposing to use on site here in this pole barn. And I can pass these around if you'd be interested in using them. A lot of these parts are made for either, currently there's a prison sinks or prison toilets, but these are just small parts that examples of what he
Thank
would
you.
be making with this machine. The machine itself is not very big. Matter of fact, in your packet this evening, you have a picture of it. And he's just going to operate one out of the pole barn. He's not going to have any employees, so it's just going to be him operating there. And he can make, like I said, parts like that from this machine. What he does is all the raw materials, he will go and purchase and haul them back to his home by the use of his truck and a trailer. So there'll be no deliveries, no semis, no deliveries such as that. Everything he'll truck in raw materials. And then anything that he makes, he will take out of there, so there won't be any people coming, the public or anybody coming to his structure to pick up parts. He'll be delivering those. He kind of got this idea, obviously he's done this all his entire life, but he kind of got the idea that he might be of some service to possible people within the community. A lot of us know the supply chain issues we've had due to the pandemic and other circumstances. And he sees the possibility of some of these parts, tractor parts, things have been on back order for several months. He might be able to help some people out by manufacturing a part for them they may need to fix their machinery. So that's just one idea that he has, but certainly he thinks that he would have the business to be able to at least make a living for himself and again be there at his home. He envisions his hours of operation much like a normal day for us, during the week 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, Saturday 8 to noon. Again, no other employees except for himself. The exterior of the pole barn is not going to change in any way, with the exception he'd like to be able to put a small sign on the walk-in door on the building itself. So just a small sign, probably no longer larger than a 2x2, but nothing off-site, no freestanding signs, anything of that nature, he will not be using. He's agreeing to no retail distribution from the property itself, and no outdoor storage of any raw materials or finished products. So those were recommendations the staff had and you saw in your packet, and he's okay with all of those and would be fine making a commitment as part of the variance to have those conditions included in the variance itself. Obviously, if he would ever stop operating or sell the property, the variance would also go with him. So he has no problem with that. The area itself is mostly agricultural. The areas around it. He has his house there on the property as well. It's a little under 2 acres. It's a 1.9 acre parcel he owns. And again, he would access it as he does now at his house from 142 and this little road that goes off of it. You do have in your packet our proposed findings of fact. Just kind of looking through those, again, he's proposing to make small mechanical parts on the property with its lathe machine. We do not believe that the approval will be injurious to public health, safety, or general welfare or morals. Currently, it has the 20 by 40 pole barn structure on it. He just wishes to utilize it with the CNC lathe machine inside the building, produce these small mechanical parts. Everything's going to be conducted inside, and we don't believe anything he'll be doing is going to be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, or general welfare. Property is currently zoned agricultural. It's been used primarily residential for his home. And again, the intended use would allow the applicant to operate the CNC lathe inside the building to produce small mechanical parts for sale off-site. In fact, everything's going to be conducted inside, should not in any way adversely affect the area adjacent to the property, and we don't believe it's going to in any way devalue any adjacent property. The existing building, again, is a 20 by 40 pole barn. The need for the variance arises from some condition peculiar. The type of structure this is, and it was built to be basically of commercial substance, don't know why, but he didn't build it, he bought it, and it was there in place when he bought his property. It's characteristic of something you would find in farming operations. And again, it's zoned agriculture for farming, but it's only 1.9 acres, so he can't do any farming on his property. So he has this large commercial type pole barn, can't really utilize. This lends itself perfectly to use of this property. And we believe it fits in nicely. And it is somewhat peculiar to find a building like this when you only have less than 2 acres, so you can't utilize it for farming. The strict application of terms of zoning will constitute unnecessary hardship. Again, we've got this larger building, commercial type structure, never been used for commercial type structure, really can't be used in a farming operation. And the strict application for agriculture would not allow him to operate, at least legally, this CNC lathe machine to produce these parts. It's more of an industrial type use. So that's why we're asking for approval of this variance tonight for use. It actually allows us to utilize this building and this structure. Without doing that, it seems like an unnecessary hardship. And again, he hopes to maybe be able to help some folks in the community as well that may need some specialized parts. And then we do not believe it interferes with a comprehensive plan because we're not asking for rezoning. We're here before you for a use variance. It's going to continue to be agriculturally zoned. And if he ever stops or sells, it would still be agriculturally zoned. And of course, his use variance would end with the condition that we were proposing. So with that, I would entertain any questions that you may have. And again, if I can't answer those, Mr. Burrows is here this evening to do that.
Gentlemen.
What about noise and waste?
His waste he's going to collect, if you look in your packet, you see kind of the chute coming off this machine. That's where the waste shoots down in. He's going to collect them in barrels. He will then take those barrels off-site to the scrap yard. So that's what he's going to do on waste. There is no real noise on this thing. It's going to all be done inside. Doors are not going to be open, they'll be down. It doesn't produce a real loud sound, so we do not believe it's going to interfere with anybody in any adjacent properties.
Is this all going to be set up and prepared with OSHA approval?
Yeah, he works again for a company now, and there's strict compliance with OSHA at this point. So he certainly plans to set everything up and utilize everything he needs to with the, basically the protective eyewear and things of that nature. And the setup of this machine would also be according to those plans.
My concern would be the contamination that could possibly from a leak somewhere in it, or the coolant itself that this machine uses as far as the coolant.
Yeah,
Petroleum coolant.
The flooring he has is concrete, so I think he may be able to speak to that here in a minute. I'll bring him up here, but that's the plan, is to have everything set up, and so if there is a problem, he is following the guidelines that OSHA would put out to deal with any sort of a spill or something of that nature.
Another question on the material. This appears to be just 1010 cold steel that this material is made out of. This one piece could possibly be a stainless. But
I'll have him come up and address some more of the technical parts.
now,
State your name and your address, please.
William Burrows, 6462 North Brook Road, Martinsville, Indiana, 46151.
My question being is on the material itself. Are you going to be using, getting any type of exotic material? Waspaloy, Hastelloy, Inconel?
No, that's more aircraft. That probably won't be in my shop, no.
You're just going to stick primarily with a major 1010, 1060 steel and aluminum and
Yeah,
Brass.
aluminum, that's stainless right there. So.
yeah. Okay.
And on the coolant, that will be done with OSHA requirements as far as oil socks, any kind of leakage. The coolant itself even has to be sealed and shipped off. So it won't be leaking anywhere.
Okay.
Any types of oil, machine oil, no leaks. These are self-contained machines. I don't know if you can see it on your picture, but all the coolant is in one tank below it. And so it can't really escape unless it gets a major hole put in it.
Yeah, most of this is all run out of bar stock.
Right.
And is that going to be your primary,
They'll probably be cut into
the bar stock
blanks.
only, or are you going to run flat or?
There'll be some bar
Castings.
stocks, maybe 2 feet long, but mostly blanks
Okay.
in short quantity.
Gordon?
One other question on the signage. You're just going to have a sign on the doors only?
Yeah, just maybe my name on it, and the phone number. If somebody comes by and I'm not there and they can call me and I'll help somebody out if I can.
Okay.
Will this be your primary, I mean, you'll be working at this 8 hours a day, basically? Or you'll still be working somewhere else and doing this mostly in the evening and weekends?
My plan is to stay working for about a year. Get everything up and rolling, doing it right. You know, I don't want to just quit my job and come here and start something and just make a complete disaster. So, yeah, there'll be a break-in period, and then hopefully I can just stay at home and not have to drive and travel and spend gas money.
Do you have any plans for anybody after you retire or come out of this to take it over?
Yeah, I've got some grandkids, but they're 8 and 5, so it's going to be a minute.
Week or two?
Yeah.
I don't know. I started running a lathe when I was 14, so,
Yeah. That didn't hurt you, did it?
yeah,
Any other questions, gentlemen?
no.
Thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome.
Persons interested in the petition is it Hack, Hoke? Hawk? Okay. Would you like to step up and speak?
I'll start with my name,
Please.
Gilbert Hawk. Address is 6556 Crone Road.
Thank you.
First off, I'd like to thank you for having the Pledge of Allegiance. It's been a long time since I've said the pledge. We need to hear it more. That's a sidebar, but thank you much. Bill came and talked to me about a month ago, and I was in the garden, and he told me what he had thought about doing, and we talked about it and stuff, and I thought, well, you know, it sounds pretty good. It sounds like that, you know, he wants to help the farmer. I'm all out for helping the farmer if it's a farmer, but at that time Bill, you didn't say anything to me about a farmer at that time, okay? I read this and it says about the farmer now. But I'm all out for the farmer. But what he told me then was that he was talking about maybe faucet material and stuff, and maybe that's what that was right there. And then when I got the paperwork, it talked about farm parts. And that's, you're giving me that look, okay? But it says right here, the parts would be agricultural parts for farming equipment, etc., and would only add to the agricultural zone nature surrounding the property. These parts would be agricultural parts. Well, faucet parts aren't agricultural parts. And I'm all for Bill, I really am, but I just want clarification. Are we going to be producing farm parts? Or are we going to be producing home parts? Parts that are on a faucet? Or what? The et cetera is pretty broad. And so that's my concern on that, okay? Like I said, I'm all for Bill. But I would kind of like to have some more definite of what we're going to do here. I've worked in a machine shop for 35 years, okay? And I know that it can get loud when you're manufacturing steel. It can get loud. And so that's why I wasn't real concerned when he was talking about small parts. But when you're cutting steel, it can get loud. So my question is the building insulated for noise? That's another question. That would help if the building is insulated. I don't know. I would assume it would be. And then when it said something about a certain size, well, what size are we talking about? How big of a part are we going to talk about? What kind of noise level? Should we not say something about the decibel rating or something? Because I know it says it's all agricultural around here. It's zoned agricultural, but there is homes all around it, okay? So, like I said, I'm for Bill to make it right, but I want to make sure we all are on the same page of what we're accepting here and what we're going through. And then there's a question I have, it's probably to the attorney. It says on this page that I got, it says, to not allow this would be an unnecessary hardship on the property itself. I don't understand that sentence. Do you see that in the paperwork? I don't understand what that means. To not allow this is an unnecessary hardship on the property. I don't get that. Maybe somebody can explain that to me.
I would say, in my estimation, if he already has the building there and it's a tight area, he's not gonna be able to do a whole lot in that building other than what he's trying to make right now. Some small parts. In other words, if he can't use the building for that, what's he gonna use the building for? I don't know. See what I'm saying?
I kind of see what you're saying, yeah. It was actually a garage for the people before that, but I'm not saying it can't be used for a machine shop. I'm not saying that, because it's got 2 garage doors on it. But it was a garage before that. But I still don't know, to not allow this, where's the hardship at?
Well, that's a decision that we're going to have to make sitting up here.
Okay.
That's will be discussed by us.
Oh, okay. I couldn't understand the sentence is what I was trying to figure out.
That's something that I'll read what we're supposed to do for you,
Okay,
and we'll go from there.
all right.
Any other
I think-
questions, gentlemen?
I think that's it.
Thank you very much.
I'm none.
Mr. Coffey.
The primary type of parts, they'll all be small. The biggest part that machine could make is a 12-inch diameter part. That's the biggest it can make. What he plans on doing is the size of what I showed you here. And he also had the idea that if he could help out somebody that needs a part, they could bring an idea to him, maybe he could make it. But again, we're talking about small parts, whether it be faucet, toilet, possibly tractor parts that are small, something, again, his machine, the biggest it can make would be a 12-inch diameter, that's it. So it's going to be small parts like that. As far as insulating the building, yes, and that'll help with the sound, certainly. Obviously, he wants to be a good neighbor, doesn't want to cause problems for his neighbors out there in any way, shape, or form. So that's what that's where he's at. But all these are going to be small parts, whether they be for faucets or sinks or toilets, or potentially if there's a part that is needed for a tractor or something like that, that's small, that is on back order and you need it to operate, if he can help somebody out, that's his intent. But primarily, his bread and butter will be the parts that we brought examples of here.
Gentlemen, any
Do,
questions?
do you have any contracts set up already, or any contacts with any major companies that you're going to be building parts for?
I don't have any contracts right now, so I want to get this off the ground right first.
But
And I have discussed work, and, yeah, it's just basically small parts. I mean, maybe a shaft, 2-inch diameter, maybe a foot long is about all I got. We don't have the travel.
But it's primarily, you're primarily just working custom work, right?
Yes.
Have you got, is this machine, I can look at this machine, but without the doors being slid on the thing, they are encompassed in sound protection on those doors, aren't they? They're
Yes,
not
it's
what they
fully
call an
enclosed.
open barrier door?
Yes, it's fully enclosed, no coolant flies out. I think that there's got a 20-horse electric motor on it.
Controlled, right?
Yeah.
5230 or 5260 controls?
That one there's gonna be a Haas model.
Okay. Okay. That's all I've got.
Gordon?
No.
No. I have no questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
At this time, I'll close the public hearing and go into a public meeting. There will be no questions asked unless one of the members of the board desires answers to something that was brought up. This is a use variance, and this may be of interest to you. This is for a special exception. And it's under Chapter 3B, the zoning overlay district. This BZA's decision will be based upon each of the required criteria are met. If any criteria are not met, the BZA cannot approve the request. Please provide justification for each aid in their decision. This is a use variance information. Proposed use variance, describe the planned use of the property type, use, hours of operation, access, necessary construction, employees, et cetera, to produce small mechanical parts on the property. On number 2, standards of evaluation, the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. This is true by his application. The property currently has a 30 by 40 pole barn structure building on it, and the applicant wishes to utilize a CNC lathe inside the building, which will produce small mechanical parts for sale off-site. Everything will be conducted inside, and this will not in any way be injurious to public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. 2.2, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. He indicates this is true. The property is currently zoned agricultural. However, its use has been primarily residential. The applicant does have his home on the site in a 20 by 40 pole barn, approximately 20 feet from the house. The intended use will allow the applicant to operate a CNC lathe inside the building to produce small mechanical parts for sale off-site. The fact that everything will be, conducted inside will not in any way be adverse to the area adjacent to the property. It will not devalue in any way the adjacent area. The owner wishes to be able to produce small mechanical parts to help the local supply chain, as he would be able to produce small parts for tractors, et cetera, for area farmers. There is also a serious supply chain for those kinds of parts, and those parts on back order for months. The applicant could produce those and sell those to local owners who could then fix their tractors and continue to operate farming. Two point 3, the need for the variance arises for some condition peculiar to the property involved. True. The existing building on site is a 20 by 40 pole barn structure built of commercial substance. Its size is such that it is characteristic of farming operations since the land is only 1.9 acres. There is no existing farm on the structure. The particular building would lend well with the housing of a CNC lathe. The size of the building is normally not on land as small as this. Due to its construction, would be ideal for housing and the operation of a CNC lathe and the manufacturing of small mechanical parts. 2.4, the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will constitute unnecessary hardship applied to the property which the variance is sought. He indicates this is true. The fact that the land is zoned agricultural, however, cannot be used for farming operations due to its size, and the fact that the applicant lives in the property and actually is being used for residential purposes is somewhat peculiar and rare, and the fact that it is a 20 by 40 commercial pole barn structure on site. The structure is ideal to house internally a CNC lathe to produce small mechanical parts in which the applicant would sell off-site to various customers. To apply the strict application of agriculture would create unnecessary hardship and cannot be utilized as farming, and again, the construction of the building would lend itself to a small manufacturing production use. To not allow this would be an unnecessary hardship on the property itself. The business will not have any traffic as the applicant will only produce the parts on site and then remove the parts from the site to sell at another location. 2.5, the approval does not interfere substantially with the comprehensive plan. True. The comprehensive plan calls for an area in which the property is situated to be agriculture. The allowance of this use variance does not change the zoning of the property, but allows for the production of small mechanical parts on site. These parts would be agricultural parts for farming equipment, etc. It would only add to the agricultural zone nature surrounding the property. This will not interfere substantially with the comprehensive plan. On our technical reports, the county surveyor puts that everything is erosion damage and drainage is not applicable. Also have a report here from the health department, and the health department has no objection to the proposed use variance. If there is a plumbing in the building, the ISDA commercial division will need to be contacted to determine its use. The variance is actually to establish a machine shop in Ag zoning district. It's after B, 3B-2 in the Morgan County UDO. A machine shop is not listed as permitted in the use in the Ag district. This is 1.9 acres, existing land use residential, zoning district is Ag, surrounding in all directions is Ag. Petitioner is seeking a use variance allowed to operate a small machine shop and an existing pole barn in addition to the home. The machine work will be performed with a single CNC lathe model Haas ST-205Y. We have a picture of this if anybody has to see this. Basically, as you're all probably aware, farm fields, rural residential home sites, second arterial transportation corridor. Now, the staff recommends things to us as a board, and I'm going to read these to you. Finding of fact 2, I ask that the use will be injurious to the general welfare of the community as long as the machine is conducted entirely inside an enclosed building. Staff does not anticipate any noise from the lathe to be disruptive or disturbing to the healthy nearby neighbors. However, if the neighbors are impacted by noise or other issues related to the use, the petitioner can be brought back for the BZA to address their concerns. Finding 2.2, as the property values will be impacted. The activity will be placed entirely inside a pole barn, so the exterior will not be changed. The petitioner uses a shared driveway that fronts directly on State Road 142. Because he has stated there will be no truck deliveries and or shipping produce from this location, existing neighbors should not notice any change in the use of the petitioner's property. Finding of fact 2.3, ask what peculiar condition the property creates for the need of the variance. This is what you've asked here. The ag zoning of the property and the only other condition related to the property is that requires a need for a variance. Finding 2.4, ask for the unnecessary hardship that occurs that can help fill, and he has an existing structure where he can produce the work with little impact on the neighbors. This is more efficient than spending time and research finding zoning and building another location. Finding of fact 2.5, to ensure the proposed use does not conflict with the protected development of the area. The future land use map has identified the area as continued agricultural use. Since this request does not rezone this property and the staff recommends include several restrictions related to an approval, it helps to preserve the goals of the comp plan. The staff recommends approval of the petitioner's request with the following conditions. The approval runs with the petitioner. If the property is sold, occupied, another resident, tenant, or landowner, the use variance terminates. The petitioner will be the only individual to work in and operate the machine shop. No change in the exterior appearance of the pole barn except for the small door sign. No retail distribution of machine products from this property. No outdoor storage of raw materials or finished product. Hours of operation will be limited to 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Mondays, Fridays, and 8 a.m. to 12 noon on Saturday. Gentlemen, any thoughts?
I don't see a problem with it for what he's got in this machine, that he's using here on this, what he's doing. One of the things I would like to add to the staff recommendation of it, that he follows the noise and sound ordinances that's already established, that will be established through the OSHA, as well as the county. The county passed a sound ordinance back in the late 90s, and that they do go by. And I want to make sure that that's part of the regulation he has to follow within that too.
Any other comments? Gordon?
I don't have any problem with it.
Yeah, not super familiar with CNC machines, but have been around them, and I don't find that they make much noise.
They can. Depends on what they're machining. They can do some squalling. Some
Do you
shriek
think, in
squalling.
your opinion, in your experience, that this would be ever anything that would be heard off of 2 acres of property?
What I've seen here, and that's why I was asking him about the doors and the sounding on the thing, this has doors that close while it's machining and everything, which baffles a lot of the sound on it, on these machines. I don't think running a 12-inch maximum diameter on the lathe, or on a rotary table he may have in there, I don't think it's going to create a sound that would be that bad, but I want to put a clause in there, a stipulation in there when we approve it, to be sure that it's not going to get over there. But he shouldn't have a decibel problem with the machining of it.
I
But
wouldn't think so either.
some materials will, depends on what type of material you're running, they will squall on you.
I know in the military, the decimals went around and checked a lot of the machines we worked with. But it was mainly for the person that worked with it or coworkers that might come in that building or that room that he was working in. As far as the decimals, I don't think he's gonna go past the building, no ways, myself.
I don't think.
Anything else, gentlemen? I don't see a problem, but like I say, my experience is more limited than probably yours. Accept the motion at this time.
I'll make a motion that we approve U-22-04 for establishing a machine shop in a ag district at the address is 6264 Northbrook Drive, Adams Township, with the following exceptions being added to it. Item number 4 on this thing, I don't believe it's going to create a problem, an undue hardship like it says or anything. But I will put on what the staff recommendations as far as adding 2 things that need to be done here, and I will read them off as possible. The approval runs with the petitioner if the property is sold, occupied, or any other residents, tenants, or landowners, the use of this variance terminates. The petitioner will be the only individual to work in and operate the machine shop at any time. No change in the exterior appearance of the building, of the pole barn, except for a small door sign. No retail distribution of product from the property. No outdoor storage of raw materials or finished product. Hours of operation to be limited from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to noon on Saturday. Number 7 I've added in there is must conform with the OSHA and Morgan County noise ordinances. That's my motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Crone seconds that. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
Passes 4-0. Good luck. Our next under new business, public hearing D-22-17, John Lazaro, on behalf of J.R. Lazaro Builders, Inc., is requesting a development standard variance to reduce the front yard setback for property located at 1064 East Vera Court in Washington Township and is zoned R1. Thank you.
John Lazaro, J.R. Lazaro Builders, 8459 Kingston Street, Avon, Indiana, 46123. Pardon me?
Can you talk a little bit more in the mic so it's recording?
Sure.
Thank you.
So, I'm the guy that messed this up and staked the house too close, or a little bit over the proper, or over the building setback line, and so I was asking for a variance to, I guess, forgive my sins and be legal with the mortgage company and everything. This was discovered when the mortgage survey was done. So we are 6.9 feet over the building line, and that's on Vera Court, which is actually a private road.
Is this the only place you know of that you can effectively place this structure?
Well, the structure is already placed. The house is almost complete. So the problem is we built the house, I staked it thinking that it was in the proper location, and we found out when the mortgage survey was done that I was over the line.
Okay. Gentlemen, any questions?
Nobody checked this out in any depth before this?
As far, I'm
Nobody
sorry.
checked this out in any depth before they built the house?
Well, we knew where all the stakes were, and if you look at the picture that's in your packet, you'll see that the house is not straight in any means. So when I laid it out, I remember I think it was about 20 degrees out there when I was laying it out. I made a mistake, and it wasn't caught until a couple months later.
How long has this piece of property, this building been here?
Well, let's see, we broke ground, I think, in February, so about 7 months.
Gentlemen, any questions?
I don't have any.
Nothing, gentlemen? Was just an honest mistake?
Yes, sir.
I could only walk on water in January, so I understand. Thank you very much. Thank you. You may be seated. We'll close the public meeting and go to a public hearing at this time, or I probably got it reversed, but this is a development standards variance information. The proposed use variance describes the proposed use of the property, operations, access, necessary construction, employees. It's a residential home. The sanitary values and approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. True.
Surveyor didn't catch it either, did he?
Sits on Vera Court, which is a private road. There are another buildable parcels sitting on this road. 2.2, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property, including the variance, will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. True. It would not affect any adjacent properties. The only adjacent property is a power line easement. 2.3, the strict application of the terms of the ordinance will result in a practical difficulty for the use of the property. Home crosses the existing building line, not possible to move the home. In non-compliance with the development standards, mortgage company has issues. On this development standard, the county surveyor has no questions whatsoever. The health department has no objections to proposed development standard variance. The variance requested to approve a front yard setback for the existing primary dwelling. Minimum front yard setback for a primary structure is 25 feet. This is 8.293 acres, existing land use residential, R1 zoning. The R1 zoning is to the south and east and ag to the north and west. The petitioner is requesting variance to reduce the front yard setback to 18.1 feet. Its general character is wooded with adjacent residential structures. The petitioner is a builder of the existing house, which has not yet been closed. The new house sits in approximately 6.9 feet past the front yard setback line. The staff recommendations are, the first finding of the fact adds that the reduced setback will have negative impact on the public health, safety, and general welfare. The lot itself was originally 3 lots, replatted into one large lot in February 2021. The property adjacent location is a combination of right-of-way and utility easements that is about 110 feet wide. Because there's only a private drive, no actual street, and no other houses adjacent to it, the reduction of the setback will be imperceptible. The second finding of fact asks the approval will adversely affect the neighbor's property values. The house is a very large custom home without neighbors on either side. The reduced front yard will have no impact on the adjacent property values. The third finding asks what practical difficulty exists that makes the approval of the variance necessary. In this case, the petitioner made an error when staking the house that was not discovered till the house was nearly complete. It would be impractical to require that the house be moved or relocated to correct the setback error. Due to the 2021 replat, this is the only one lot using this right-of-way and utilities for any future development adjacent to the property. These restrictions make the setback variance the best option. For this reason, the staff supports the petitioner's request to reduce front yard setback to 18.1 feet from the property line. You have anything to add to that, or content? Thank you. Gentlemen, discussion.
No, I have none. It appears to be just an error.
The power lines overhead or in the ground? Overhead. What did they say about it? power.
The power line easement is actually south of the Vera Court right-of-way.
Yeah.
So there's no encroachment into the power line easement. We are actually encroaching into the Vera Court right-of-way.
Won't be touching the roof or anything like that or close.
No, it's still approximately 50 feet away from the house.
And the mortgage company's got the problem with it, or what?
The mortgage company is, because there's I guess, an infringement over a building line, they're the one that has a problem with it. It's possible that the title company would insure past that, but I mean, it's still an encroachment. So the reason we're here is to address the encroachment and ask for a variance so that we're technically not encroaching anymore.
Title company's probably the one that's doing the driving on it.
Any other questions, gentlemen?
No.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Like I said, it's an error. The use is a residential. Number two, standard deviation. The home sits in Vera Court as a private road. There are no other buildable lots sitting in this road. True on the 2.2. Use and value of the area adjacent to property, including the variance, will not affect substantially adverse matter. It will not affect any adjacent properties. The only adjacent property is a power line easement. In 2.3, the strict application of the terms of the ordinance will result in the practical limits for the use of the property. The home crosses the existing building line. It is not possible to move the home. In non-compliance with the development standards, mortgage company has issues. Like I said, the surveyor has no problems, the health department has no problems. Appears the mortgage company does.
I got one more question.
What's that?
How far down does the power lines go after they come down your road?
I honestly can't see that far. I mean, these power lines go, they're cross-country power lines, high-tension overhead power lines. They go east through Fox Run, and as far as going to the west, I mean, they just keep on going. So I'm not sure if they'd go down to, what is that, Blue Bluff that maybe IPL is on? They may go down there, I'm not sure.
Well, it says you're the only one that lives on that road, right?
No, my client is, Tom Reed. My client lives on that road. I'm the guy that messed up the staking and is building the house. So, but yes, this is the only home on that road. The Vera Court comes off of Lincoln Hill Road, and it's actually an imaginary road. It's just his gravel driveway. So his property was actually platted Fox Run lots, and then he did a replat to join them all together into one property, and it's 8.29 acres, I believe. And then as far as to the south of this right-of-way, there's a power line easement, so you can't put a house there. And then he owns everything to the east and to the north. So he is the only one that can ever be on this road.
Okay, thank you.
From the looks of it, I wouldn't want to try and fence it. Gentlemen, discussion, anything?
It's just, as I say, mistakes can be made, but this is not, being that's the only building one there and everything, I don't think it's going to create a problem that much.
This time, I'd accept a motion to approve or deny.
Make a motion, we approve petition number D-22-17 for a developmental standard variance for the dwelling at 1604 East Vera Court, Washington Township, Morgan County. Based on finding the facts that we have here in the staff report.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Raise your right hand. Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Good luck. This time, we have a BZA attorney report. Peden? No? Our plan director, Mrs. Parker?
Guy had a house out there. When 67 comes through, and they made him cut that part of the house off. Yeah, I've seen him do that.
Okay, yes.
We had a guy.
Mr. Bowman, would you like to step forward?
Didn't meet within the variances he's supposed to be. In the road, I think. Yeah. He just had his footer in, his foundation in, and they made him.
Good evening, Board. Steve Boylan, 7411 North Kivett Road, Monrovia, Indiana. I meant to appeal the decision that was made 2 months ago on the cost for one event per year. I didn't get it done in time. I was busy doing other things. The information was given us to us in a packet, so I can't even complain about that. But I'm just asking if you guys would be willing to hear us out next month, going through all the proper channels, go through the notifications, proper notifications, that kind of thing, to increase from going from one event to 5 events.
Increase to 5 events?
For disc golf. Disc golf. You weren't here, Mr. McGrath, so it was a disc golf venture over on my property over in Kivett Road. So it was approved. It was just limited to one event per year.
You're speaking
Yeah,
strictly.
we approved that.
Yes.
With the understanding that it come back and be revisited in October of 2023, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yes, you had made the mention of doing one event per year, and that what I was going to appeal is just a decision for the one event. I just don't think one event is going to be a quantifiable number to be able to do justice for everybody to have a full opinion on it. We've already run like 7 events out there. I've got the numbers. We average about 66 people per event. And it's over the last 3 years. And if we don't ask for 5 events, I'm afraid it's going to cut out some of the social work that we do with we do a fundraiser every year for the food pantry, and we want to do another fundraiser now because you guys got us involved with the fire department, volunteer fire department. We want to do one for them too. And so if we do 5 events a year, I think that's a quantifiable number that can, yes.
Mr. Chair, this really isn't the format to rehash this, so you either need to decide you're going to let him come back and be revisited or not, but he needs to re-advertise and do this as a formal public hearing rather than starting to debate the merits of his request.
So basically what you're
I was gonna
indicating
say that.
is that we either allow him to come back October, motion to establish that. And that's what your request is?
Yes, that's what I'm requesting, just to be heard in the next meeting.
And you've explained why, which is additional events.
Yes.
You've explained what they're for. Okay, gentlemen.
I have no problem with him. He wants to come back and revisit this thing again, and we'll go over it again. Because there's some other questions I want to ask if it's been accomplished or he plans on being accomplished. So there's the opportunity to develop it at that time when she can get it up on the agenda. I don't want to discuss it tonight, but if he wants to redo it on the next agenda of the meeting when it can be worked in, I have no problem with it.
So you're going to make a motion that we approve his opportunity to appear prior to next October 2023.
When could he get into the meeting? Next month?
Filing deadline was last Friday, but if you want to allow him to be heard in October, it would be October 24th. Or you
How many do we have on the agenda for October right now? Let's just move it for then. Would that be okay? Put it on the
Make that
agenda
as a
for
motion
then?
then.
Beg your pardon?
There's a motion, and I'll ask for a second.
I will.
It's gonna be one variance, so, I mean, request.
It's just one request for one decision that was made on one of the variances, yes.
I'll make a motion, we reopen it for hearing in the October meeting. of
Okay, do I have a second for that?
Mr. Bowen's case here.
Seconds
Previous,
that?
the previous cases that we had under application was SE 22-03, 2204, and 2205. So that we can be the 05 case? That's what I thought. I wanted to cover them all in my motion just to be on the safe side, because this will dwell out into other discussions. Okay?
You
That's
still
a
approve
motion.
that as second, Mr. McGrath?
I second it.
Okay, thank you. All in favor, signify by saying aye, raise your right hand.
Aye.
Approved.
Thank you.
Now, this will be re-advertised and everything like this, like his first request. Thank you. Now I'll get correctly to the staff reports. No thing from the attorney. Mrs. Parker? Thank you very much. Our next meeting is October 24th, with evidently 3 things. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Thank you. Motion of the meeting is adjourned. I don't have to have a second on that, according to
Gordy seconded.
Robert's rules.
Gordon
We don't
Gordon
follow
seconded.
the Bill's rules.
Third it, I'll second it.
Second,
Purdy
third,
mumbled.
fourth, and all in favor, signify raise your hand.
But